Welcome to this episode of Raptor Adventures. This one's called You Can't Always Get What You Want. And that's because I spent hours of fishing in these segments and caught maybe like one fish. And that's why they call it fishing, not catching. So let's go. Okay, I've arrived at my destination. I came here fishing once in April and it was terrible. I didn't catch a thing. It was really windy, it was gnarly. Getting here is not easy where I'm at, so I know there's not a lot of fishing pressure because this is like 2.5 miles back. First like a Jeep road and then no path at all. You just kind of got to know where you're going. Through the weeds, through the woods. But I have high hopes now because when I got here, there was all kinds of topwater fish action. Look at the size of this turtle down here. Right there. Look at that. So let's get fishing. So let's first try a weedless hook, wacky rigged Senko pumpkin seed green worm and see what happens. Let's go out near that log. Nope. Let's go out near the weeds. After a half an hour catching nothing, I switched to a white grub and a little jig head and did get hooked up with something. Here we go. I tried all kinds of lures and a little white grub did the trick. What do we have here? Are you kidding me? Is this a bass on a little white grub? It sure isn't. Oh my gosh, look at that carp down there. Look at that carp. Do you see that carp swimming in the water there? Holy cow, look at the size of that carp. Wow. Meanwhile, let's get this. Oh, it's a crappie bass. Yeah, okay, we'll take you. Good. Nice. There you go. Pretty nice crappie bass. And you're gonna get to be released, huh? There you go. And that was that for that fishing adventure. That was about 3 hours of fishing to land one crappie bass and see a turtle and a big carp. Let's move on. Let's go down to Florida now. Headed down to Boca Raton, Florida. Went out with a bunch of guys kayak fishing. We didn't have that much luck and success. There was a storm front that moved through, and again, here we are fishing, not necessarily catching. But don't worry, you are going to see some pictures of fish. There were some fish caught, just not especially by me. I hooked some, but I couldn't land any of them. This is my point of view this morning, early in the morning. It's 10 till 6 a.m. We're in a waterway right on the ocean side of Boca Raton, Florida. 7 of us going to go out in live line. There's some spinner sharks in here, some snook, some tarpon, and goodness knows what else. So let's go get them. In 4 days of almost constant fishing, I managed to catch 3 fish, which you'll see later. I had hooked into a shark, but I never got to see it, but it towed my kayak around. You'll see that later. Meanwhile, here was my partner on most of the fishing days. This is Chris Holmes from Louisiana. Chris had a great fishing trip. He was hooking all kinds of fish. And here he's getting into a jack. And Chris wasn't the only guy getting into some jacks. Some of the other guys that were with us also got into jacks. I looked them up and I couldn't tell if they were crevel jacks or yellow jacks. They look so similar. Anyway, you'll see a nice close-up picture of one of the other guys, but first let's just watch Chris work with this jack here. Now you can see he'll soon get it out of the water, and it is a beauty. Here's another thing for you to notice. A little tip if you're a kayak fisherman and you haven't learned this the hard way already multiple times. Notice that Chris has his rod and reel tethered to the kayak. We all did that down there. As a guy who has lost many a rod and reel overboard, I can tell you that's no fun, so it's good to tether him. There, he's got control of that jack now. Look, that's a beautiful fish. And I was filming this from a distance, so I didn't get to go in close and get a close-up shot before Chris went ahead and released that fish. But I did happen to be near one of the other guys, and this is what that fish looks like close up. Really, really a nice fish, and man, do they fight. Now, these aren't my best bits of video footage ever because they came sort of after the fact of catching the fish, but that evening after I didn't catch anything all day long, oh, yeah, I fell down. I'm trying to get close to the bank. I caught my first ever snakehead, and I couldn't get it up. It went under the mangroves there and the palms and stuff. It got all tangled up, so Chris was with me, and we switched places, and I went and pulled it out a little bit, and he went ahead and netted it. Hey, that's my first snakehead, and if that's what it is, that's what it is, right? Look how orange it is, though. Yeah, it looked like the color of a peacock bass there. Snakehead. Crazy. Well, we'll get him out and get a better picture of him. Thanks, good net job. The next morning, we took the kayaks out with some live baits, trolling to see if we could hook up with some sharks. I hooked up with one, and zing! Man, what a fight. Now let's turn the kayak around the front. Go. I censored myself there because there were some curse words that we don't need to have everybody hear. But look at this shark yanking me toward that buoy. It was like ridiculous. It was like I was on a carnival ride, and there was not a thing in the world I could do about it. Not a thing. Yes, there were two more expletives there as the shark wrapped itself around that buoy and then dove, and that was it. Meanwhile, my partner Chris hooked up with a shark, and he did a great job getting that shark out in the open water and eventually getting it right up to the side of the kayak. And as a matter of fact, they took it all the way to that far shore to get a picture of it before they released it. So let's watch Chris do his thing, and then we'll see some nice pictures up close that the guide took for him. And by the way, Chris isn't pedaling there and motivating that kayak to go forward. That's the shark pulling him. When you see that kind of acceleration, you know you're hooked up with something special. And this was a long battle. One of the things you have to be careful of when you're out there and you're concentrating on not losing the fish and working the fish is that you don't lean over too far on the kayak, especially if you have your rod at a 90-degree angle off the side of the kayak, because an animal that big using leverage could literally pull you over, pull you right out of the kayak. So there's a lot of stuff to think about, and I think that's what makes it so much challenging fun. And here are some of the pictures that our guide took. You can get some close-up views of how exciting and how amazing it is. And at last, here's Chris with his beautiful spinner shark. Good job, Chris. Here's a new put-in spot in the area of Jupiter, Florida. I'm kind of anxious to get out here on this water. It's like magical, mystical, just from the start. And indeed, it is a beautiful river. This river is a tributary that runs right out into the ocean. It is renowned for holding large snook. but not for me. I didn't see a snook. I didn't hook up with a snook. I did see a big iguana though, so after several hours of kayak fishing and getting that exercise out there, my claim to fame on this day was seeing and filming a big iguana. See that big gray thing? Come on, look how big it is. Wow. It was windy this morning when we headed out, our little fleet of 8 kayaks off into the bay, fishing in search of, well, of course, fish. But instead of fish, the first thing we found was a big old mammal. Not a fish, big old mammal. There we are out in the saltwater bay, kayak fishing, minding our own business, when up comes a curious and somewhat playful manatee. Now, you're not supposed to interact with them because they're federally protected, but if the manatee does the interacting, then okay, whatever. He was pushing our kayaks and nibbling on a little bit, maybe get some, whatever, plant life off of them. He stayed for quite a while. It was really something. He's about as big as my kayak. And you're actually supposed to try to get out of their way. In other words, where they're at, you're supposed to try and not be there. But we kept moving in this bay, and this guy kept showing up. He was following us around. So, you know, it was a peaceful interaction. No harm, no foul, and pretty neat. At this point, even though I wasn't catching any fish, this interaction with the manatee was worth the entire price of the trip, because I'm as much into seeing what's out there in the ocean and in the waters as I am catching them and releasing them, or catching them and cooking them. And this really was something special. This interaction lasted a long time. As I said earlier, we would move to try and obey the law, and the manatee would follow us. And look, oh, there he is again. And he'd disappear, and then he'd pop up off your bow or your stern or your port or your starboard side, and he'd come up, and you could tell he's just like, yeah, hey, how about if you pet me or give me some water or something? But, you know, we followed the rules, and we didn't try to interfere with it or interact with it in any way other than to take some pictures and make some memories. And what memories they were. I had seen and swam with manatees in a place called Crystal River, Homosassa Springs in Florida years and years ago when I was doing a lot more snorkeling and scuba diving. But to be out there with an animal like this while you're kayak fishing was something special. So farewell, manatee, and thanks. Look at that great picture. We had the presence of mind to stick a camera under the water right before we got done fishing. That afternoon, seeing as I didn't catch a fish all morning, we went to the Boca Raton Inlet, and the tide was ripping through there, but there were tons of fish. I managed to pull 2 fish out of here. There, hey! Pretty fish, huh? Here, get him in the sunlight. Look at him. So that worked. Squid strip. They seem to have a harder time with it. There it is. There's another one. Nice. This is Boca Raton Inlet. Beautiful little, what I would call tropical fish there, hitting on shrimps. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. So that was my 4 days on that Florida trip and my 3 fish. Now we went over to the Susquehanna River, coming closer to home with my other friend Ryan, who loves flathead catfishing. And here you go, we hooked up. He's
not happy to be joining us.
no, but he's a yard long, easy. Oh yeah. Look at that fat belly on him or her. There you go.
Probably a 20, 25 pounder.
Oh yeah. Hold him up, Ryan. There you go. Look at that. Such a beautiful fish. What is it, like 3 in the morning? So we caught one at 11, one at 2:30, and this one here at 3. 3 different spots on the river too. Okay, go ahead. Let it go. Yeah, goodbye. Nice. This day's fishing trip started out of the Atlantic Highlands. We left the Berks County area at 4 in the morning. By 7 o'clock, we were putting out to sea and heading out to Sandy Hook. We went around Sandy Hook and headed south toward Asbury Park, but the sea was extremely unfriendly, some really huge waves. So we turned around and headed back toward Manhattan. And what bridge is that? Is that the Verrazano? And then just passing the center part of your screen there was the New World Trade Center Tower, Lower Manhattan. This was quite an adventure today. We were out there fishing for hours with no luck at all. We'd see pods of fish and birds coming down, but we just couldn't hook up with them. So I asked Captain Greg, hey, we might as well just go in there and see the Statue of Liberty by sea and fish around her and see what that's like. And he agreed. I get goosebumps knowing that my mother's Sicilian family passed by this Statue of Liberty on their way to be processed at Ellis Island back in the late 1800s. Wow. I have to drop a line and see if I can hook up with a Hudson River fish. Hudson River, East River fish. So no fish wanted my fake eel lure. Oh well. We go from the statue over here to Ellis Island. That's Ellis Island. Not the building, just like where the red building is. It's Miss Ellis Island leaving, blowing her horn. If we pan around here, we're going to see right off the bow here the World Trade Center. Yeah, let's just go fishing up here around Manhattan and Ellis Island, the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. Oh, wow. And if you look further up Manhattan, we're on the South North Avenue now. Like up in there, you see the Empire State Building. I don't see the Chrysler Building. So bear in mind that the whole time we're doing a little sightseeing here, looking up at the sky at the helicopters flying overhead and such. We are trolling, or if we're not actively trolling, we're actively casting. I'm trying everything. I'm trying everything from my big old eel to stick baits to whatever I have in there. I'm throwing it. And Greg's doing the same when he's not driving, and at least we get to see some interesting things, statues, sculptures along the way. After all, this is the Big Apple. This is New York City, and the amazing river that flows through it goes right out into the ocean. I don't think you get a real sense of how New York City and Manhattan sit literally right on the Atlantic Ocean until you see it from this perspective and point of view. And that's all well and good, but you know, I'm still looking for fish. This is again, one of the videos where we were doing a lot of fishing and absolutely no catching.
Here's a little bit better view of the Empire State Building with the Chrysler Building on the other side of the island there. It looks smaller, but it's tall. The Chrysler Building has that sort of Art Deco top to it. Here's the warship Intrepid. It's a museum now. You got all kinds of fighter aircraft on the bow up there. It's like what? Around the Midtown area. Yeah. Pretty neat. Just amazing when you're in the city. You don't think of it surrounded by rivers and an ocean. It's a port city. Oh yeah, that is a British Airways. That might be a Concorde there. Yeah, it is. Boy, they were sleek and streamlined, that's for sure. All this fun and fishing too. Look at this stuff floating down the river. Yeah, okay. It is something when you think that this Hudson River goes all the way up to Albany, New York, and comes all the way down here till it flushes out into the Atlantic Ocean. And then, as you look back between that stretch where that bridge was, and down toward Verrazano and such, that Captain Sully landed that commercial jet airliner in the Hudson safely, and everybody walked away from it. Wow.
Didn't give up. Kept on going and going. Up the river we went.
Well, let's take a cast here at the World Trade Center. See what fish are home. Then Greg's going to do one over at the Statue of Liberty.
Down the river we went. Over to the side, toward the shores we went. Either way, and back again, and still no luck.
Oh, nothing's home. All right. At least we tried. They don't want my eel. Greg, you try it now.
All right.
You're going to pick one up right here for the Statue of Liberty. It's a good omen. Both Staten Island ferries just passed us by. Okay.
We're trying.
Okay. Try again. I saw some bait fish in the finder. You have a shot here.
We got a chance.
There wasn't anything in front of the World Trade Center except some logs floating around.
Plenty of debris.
Yeah, it is. It's like 50, 60 feet here.
Doing speed jigging for stripers here. Gotta get a striper statue. Not that time.
You feel anything?
No, not that time.
Okay.
Line's going out.
All right, give it another shot.
Okay, here we go. Coming up, coming up.
Nothing.
Nothing.
All right, well, you gave it a try anyway. You gave it a try.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
After hours of catching nothing, this happened.
This is crazy. We got into a school and we followed the birds. They're jumping all around us and we got a double. We're hooked up right now with a double. Show me what you got on that shad dart. Okay. Poor little thing. Just swimming along minding his own business. But meanwhile, we pulled in some striped bass. Well, I'm telling you, boy, it took a while, but we hooked up. Saw that school come to the top. Thank goodness for the birds.
Yes.
Greg's got a nice, what, 29-incher there?
29-incher, yes, sir.
Verrazano Bridge in the background. And if you look real close, you can see the World Trade Center out there in the distance as well. What a fishing place. Oh my gosh, Greg. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Let me get a picture of that guy. under control. Look at this tank.
Oh my.
That's a nice 32-inch
That's a nice fat,
striped bass here.
nice fat chunky
Gosh.
striped bass.
You see that Verrazano Bridge in the background,
Yes, it
probably,
is.
and
Yes.
what a great adventure. We fished all over the place. Statue of Liberty, World Trade Center, came out here. Where would you say we're at right now?
Part of the New York Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
We saw a fleet off to our left-hand side, and then we saw birds, and we chased the birds, and this is the result. So there's some good eating right here. Great trip.
Great trip, yep.
We fished from about 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. This is what Manhattan looked like at 3 in the afternoon. Kind of reminds me of like Oz or someplace. And the current limit for striped bass right now is 1 per fisherman between 28 and 32 inches. So we achieved that. I'd say that was an excellent day out on the water, plus a little tour along the Hudson and lower Manhattan. What a unique fishing spot. Okay, that was our adventure.
So whenever we catch fish and are fortunate enough to be able to bring home some for the table, I don't let anything go to waste. I might have told you about this before, but all my friends know I do this. So it's November 4th, and our garden is still producing beautiful tomatoes on extremely healthy plants. And that's, I swear, because every time I catch fish, I bring them home and I bury the carcasses in these raised beds here, okay? And you can see on November 4th, we still have some gorgeous peppers and tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. Well, this is simple. I never showed you this. If you're squeamish, don't watch. But basically, I just dig a hole about 8 inches deep and put the fish carcass in there. You see the striped bass there. This was the 32-inch striped bass. Got the meat off of there. Carcass is not going to go to waste. I'm going to cover that over, and that is going to make excellent fertilizer. Don't worry about animals coming. If you have it 8 inches deep or so, usually it's not a problem. Plus, I have my whole garden is enclosed with a 7-foot fence if you were to look around. But I mean, the results, you can't argue with the results. We had fish carcasses in here. This is 1 tomato plant. This is 1 sun sugar tomato plant. So I'm a big advocate of this. There were fish carcasses in here. Look at this parsley, still gorgeous. So I suggest that you think about doing that if you have a garden, or giving them to somebody that does have a garden, and I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Maybe they'll give you some tomatoes.
Look at that snowy egret eating a fish. He caught more fish than I did in this whole episode. I'm taking you back to where we started. This is the Lake Ontelaunee water reservoir for the city of Reading, Pennsylvania, in the county of Berks. And we've had many adventures there. I sometimes catch lots of fish on this particular outing. Again, I did a lot of fishing and no catching. I caught 0 fish on this day. However, my friend Ryan, who was along, did catch a beautiful bass right toward the end of our outing. And so let's take a look at that.
Nice bass. Nice largemouth. Well, there you have it. A lot of fishing, not as much catching. We don't always get a full 30-minute episode out of every trip we take. As a matter of fact, it's hours and hours and hours of fishing, generally, to make one 30-minute episode of this Raptor Adventure series. But I guess the moral of the story, or the lesson from this video, is you can fish an awful lot and not necessarily catch a lot of fish sometimes, or you can fish and do a lot of catching and that's a catching day. Whatever, it's still better than going into the office, in my humble opinion. All right, this is Dave Kline for Raptor Adventures. Please tell some friends about our show. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe and share away, and we'll see you during the next adventure.